Hi everyone, it's Stant Litore, and welcome to the first of my weekly videos. Some of these I'm going to answer questions that you've submitted to me. Some of them I'm going to tell stories. Some I will read incredible stories. I've never done video quite in this weekly way before, so this is new and exciting. And thank you for being here with me. We're going to find out how this goes together. Also, a huge thanks to my Patreon members. Your support makes this video possible. It makes the equipment on which I'm recording this possible. It makes so much possible. I am so grateful, and it means more to me than I really can possibly say. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Today I'm going to read you a little bit of Ansible 15716. Some of you know this story. Some of you are curious about it. The Ansible stories, the really quick snapshot for you, is distant future. The center of science and learning in the world has shifted to the Islamic Near East, very similar to how it was in the early Middle Ages. And there is an institution, a research institution called StarMind, that is sending explorers out. They are transferring their minds across the universe, inhabiting alien bodies on alien worlds, attempting to make contact. Except it doesn't always go quite as planned. And in this story in particular, there is a man who is marooned and alone on this alien world, searching for someone with whom he can communicate. And that's where we start today. I can travel far in a day, perhaps 100 kilometers. It is impossible to know precisely. Before I sent my first final broadcast, I tried once to reach the edge of the desert to verify whether the desert had edges. A few of the others followed me for a time, keening in their high voices, my mate especially. I think they mourned my departure, which surely they could not understand or justify. Their song of loss affected me deeply, though I could not answer it. I have their instruments of speech, the same whistling holes and flute holes in my thighs. But I haven't their language. Had my body been human, I might have wept. As it was, I just loped swiftly across the ridges and waves of salt, leaving them far behind. Perhaps forever. I live now with a tribe of such creatures, having made my way back. But though these have the same markings on their flanks, and one of them the same or similar limp, I can't be sure, can't be entirely sure, that this is the same tribe. There was wind in my eyes out there, and the white knife of the sun's glare. Secondary and then tertiary eyelids slid closed, surprising me as I gazed through them as through a woman's veil. I hadn't known I had such eyelids until that moment. I did not rest by day or by dark. I did not know my body's limits any more than I knew the limits of the desert. I was desperate in my solitude, and desperate in my yearning for the other living things that I had left, and anxious to find something that would be more familiar and a comfort. Perhaps the minds of the other Ansibles who had been supposed to arrive with me. Perhaps they had been cast into bodies far elsewhere on this planet. Perhaps I could still find them. Or even if I could find a green field, or a lake abundant with fish, or a pomegranate tree. Meeting one of those would have been like meeting a human face. But all the time that I have been here, I have seen nothing green. On that journey, I saw only silent, ghostly formations of salt, some like small mountains, as though some immense beast, stranded by a vanished ecology, had breathed its last, or some ship had plummeted into the world only to be concealed by centuries of salt. In the end, I stopped and just gazed at one of those white mountains as though in prayer. As I contemplated that eternity of salt, the world turned, embracing and then rejecting the sun again and again. At last, my body's need for water, though less sharp than a human's, stirred me. In a kind of quiet despair, I glanced at the horizon, at far shapes that were not forests or cities, but only other, stranger, saline forms, looming like giants on the edges of dreams. I do not think those mountains were sunken beasts or buried ships, travelers stranded here as I was. I think that if I had hands and a pickaxe and were to dig through them, I would find only minute white crystals all the way through. I have thought sometimes of my ancestors, how they labored under a hard sun for bricks of salt, and what a paradise of wealth they would have found here on this dead, beautiful world. Thank you for joining me for this story tonight. I will leave a link below for those of you interested in the rest of the story, and we'll try this again next week. Thanks for joining me. I'm Stant Litore. Thank you to my Patreon members. Thank you to everybody out there who's reading my fiction. It goes right to my heart how many people are reading it, being moved by it. Thank you. If you're interested in supporting my work and you don't already, please check out my Patreon membership at patreon.com/Stant Litore, STANTLITORE. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.